Some years ago, I had to deal with a situation which involved a case of suicide. It was the end of a very busy day in my consulting rooms, and I was about to commence my last sitting. It was for a lady in her mid-30s who introduced herself as Pamela. As I opened myself up to Pamela's vibrations, I was horrified at the pictures I was viewing. I saw a man with 3 children, and I could sense a great deal of unhappiness and despair, feelings of giving in, not wanting to go on. Pamela was looking at me expectantly. Her vibrations were light and calm, and did not seem to fit in at all with the pictures which were unfolding. I proceeded with her sitting. I communicated with a number of her loved ones who had passed to spirit and gave her proof of their survival. I spoke of her career and what she could expect to happen over the next few months, but all the time I was desperately wondering how I could convey to her the tragic events which were to take place in her life. Finally, I could put it off no longer, but I couched my words in the broadest of terms. I told her that if a person chooses to take their own life, they too go on to the world of spirit in exactly the same way as anybody who passes through natural causes. I continued by telling her that even if a person has their life taken away from them suddenly, either at the hands of another or through an accident, the system remains the same. They go on to live in the heavenly state. Our loved ones never go away. They remain close to us. Pamela looked perplexed. She did not understand what I was telling her, but I had done my best. I could not tell her bluntly, look, your marriage is going to fall apart, and as a result, your husband's going to commit suicide and take your children with him. Pamela stood up. Well, Derek, she said, thank you for the reading. I enjoyed it very much, but I'm afraid that towards the end you must have got your wires crossed. The messages you gave me don't apply to me at all. I bowed my head, we shook hands, and Pamela left my office. It was almost 2 years to the day I received a letter from her. I'd like firstly to apologise to you, Derek. Although the majority of the reading you gave me was absolutely spot on, I recall at the end you gave me some information which I just could not understand. It was approximately 18 months later, immediately after my husband had committed suicide by connecting a pipe to the car's exhaust, that I realised what you were trying to tell me. The most tragic part of this is that he took my 3 darling children with him. If it had not been for you, Derek, I doubt whether I'd be here today, as I would have brought my own life to an end. I was saddened by Pamela's letter, but was grateful that she had at least gained some comfort from my words. I knew that her husband would have entered the world of spirit, and after a period of recuperation would have gently been guided through a learning process. Their children would have passed into the higher realms and would reside there until their spirits chose to reincarnate into this physical world once more. What people do not realise when tragedy occurs is that those spirits chose to undergo that experience. Before incarnation into this physical life, the spirit is given the opportunity to choose to experience all facets of physical life. We all have to undergo lessons in order to earn soul growth. Through many lifetimes, we learn valuable lessons and have the possibility of evolving to a plane where incarnation into a physical life is no longer necessary. It is my belief that before we incarnate into this life, we choose a pathway. That pathway may meander a little from its course, but ultimately we fulfill our destiny to achieve soul growth. Nobody can interfere with that. In this case, for example, if I had told Pamela bluntly of the outcome of her decision to divorce her husband, she may not have done so. But then I would have been directly interfering with a person's free will and pathway in life. Spiritual law just doesn't allow this. Do animals have souls, and do they pass on into the spirit world? Is a question which I am frequently asked. Of course they do. They are God's creatures, just as we are. At the end of their physical lives here on earth, they pass into the world of spirit to wait the time when we will be reunited with them. I am looking forward to the day when I meet once more with my beautiful German shepherd Caras. It was when the time was drawing near for Caras to pass into the world of spirit that I had an encounter with one of the highly evolved celestial beings which are known to us as angels. They are always around us, but few people ever experience their presence. It was a summer afternoon, and I was sitting by the fish pond in my garden. I had lost my dear father to the world of spirit the previous November, and now my beloved dog was very old, and I knew that soon she would be leaving me too. I was feeling very sad as I sat there staring into the water. People may not understand that mediums still experience grief and loss when a beloved person or pet passes to the world of spirit. We are human, and we suffer human emotions. The fact that we know of the world beyond and spend our lives communicating with that world does not take away the fact that we grieve for the physical presence of someone or something that we love. As I sat on the garden bench, I suddenly heard a gentle rustling noise to my right and over my head. A feeling of warmth and peace seemed to spread over me, encompassing my whole body. I opened my eyes and looked up. Above me was the most magnificent being. All I could do was look and stare in wonderment. No words were spoken. There was no need. The feelings were sufficient. My angel placed his arm around my shoulders and chest. I knew that he was giving me total love and protection. I was overcome with feelings of joy, compassion, and beauty. I could not see my garden. I was enveloped in a pure white light which dazzled my eyes. I felt tears of joy running down my face as I bathed in the beauty and peace which surrounded me. The light evaporated almost as a morning mist disappears in sunshine, and I was left sitting on the garden bench once more alone. I looked down to the floor. Lying there was a solitary white feather, its fronds moving gently in the light summer breeze. I felt warmth and happiness surrounding me. My sadness was gone. My father's face appeared briefly before me. He looked so young and happy. He winked as he whispered to me, "Don't worry, son, I'll look after her for you." I knew that when Caras' time came to pass to the world of spirit, he would be there waiting for her. 3 short weeks later, I had to make the decision which I had long dreaded. Acorah had become quite ill and could not walk. Her breathing had become difficult. She had achieved the grand old age of 17 years, which for a German shepherd was something of a phenomenon. On that fateful morning, as she lay on her bed, we both knew the time had come for us to part. I reluctantly picked up the telephone and spoke to the vet, who came out to the house immediately. As Caras' spirit departed from her physical body, I knew that she was going on to a heavenly state and that she would be met by my father. Since that sad day, I've seen Caras around our home on many occasions. She returns to sit in her favourite places, and occasionally I will hear her bark. I have seen her clairvoyantly as she bounds joyously across the fields, young once more and not burdened by the ravages of age. And I know that she's being cared for by my father until we can be reunited.
Connections.
Walking along Santa Monica Pier was almost like walking along any UK coastal resort pier. There were fairground rides and a Ferris wheel, but ahead of me people were fishing into the deep waters of the Pacific Ocean, and pelicans were dipping in their search for dinner. Pacific Palisades, home to many famous Hollywood stars, could be seen in the distance to my right, and to the left lay a band of almost yellow smog, all that could be seen of the great city of Los Angeles. It was my first morning in Santa Monica. It was October 2000, and I'd left the cold and the damp of England's autumn behind as I'd been invited to California to make a program, Connections with Derek Acorah. The program would be in 2 parts. One would involve me walking around the streets of Santa Monica, offering readings for people as they went about their Saturday morning shopping. The other would be a demonstration of mediumship before a live audience. It was ironical that the first people I would meet would be a lovely couple from Birmingham. "Derek Acorah, what are you doing here? We watch you every week on Predictions and Psychic Lifetime." It was arranged that as I walked along, I would indicate to the producer of the program which people I could see a spirit presence with. The producer would then approach those people and ask if they would like a psychic from England to do a reading for them. Contrary to what was expected, this request was not initially well received, and people refused, hastily moving away whilst looking back warily over their shoulders. Who was this oddball Englishman tramping around saying he could speak to dead people? Eventually, when we had almost given up hope of anybody agreeing to a reading from me, a kind lady took pity and warily agreed that I could speak to her. Thank goodness, I was beginning to feel like an alien. I was able to tell the lady that her mother and father were with her and that her father had been a big, heavy-set man and had a strong connection with the police force. As I was relating these details to her, my voice became croaky and I was almost whispering. "My God," she exclaimed, "you sound just like my father before he passed away with throat cancer. And he was in the LA Police Department too." "It's his influence that's making me speak this way," I explained to her. "He's talking to me about a lady who's with him. This lady passed the spirit world with stomach cancer. They both send their love to you and are telling you good luck with the health farm." "That has completely freaked me out," came the response. "My mother did pass with cancer of the stomach, and I am in the health farm business. Thank you so much. You've helped me to believe. I was always skeptical before, but now I know that Mom and Dad are okay." It is amazing what a couple of cameras around a group of people can do. It wasn't long before people were stopping us, wanting to know about their loved ones or what life had in store for them. I was able to pass on many messages of comfort and reassurance. A young lady was told by her mother Mary that the house move she'd been so desperately awaiting was about to happen, that she'd be rid of the disruptive neighbours who were making her life a misery. A woman in spirit called Betty spoke to her daughter, sending love but ticking her off gently for taking time away from work and gossiping unkindly about a friend. A young man from Cleveland was given hope for the future when he was told that divorce was not looming, but that he and his wife would be back together again very soon. His father, Scott, who had passed the spirit as a result of a traffic accident, was telling me so. Frida from Maine was tearfully grateful when her mother Jessie came through to talk to her and tell her that she should not blame herself because she hadn't been with her at the end. I think my favourites, though, were the 2 ladies who were ecstatic to receive messages from their mother and their father Jim. Their brother-in-law, also in spirit, and also named Jim, popped in to say hello. "Hello, Jim," they both shouted out, whilst waving gaily in a direction somewhere over my left shoulder. I told them that their mother and father had been to visit their brother Ted in Florida and other details of their life, with which they readily agreed. As I was finishing speaking to them, I asked if the reading had been all right for them. "Oh yes, young man, we enjoyed it very much. It was wonderful." And as an aside, as they were signing the release forms, they added with a glint in their eyes, "If there's anything sneaky going on here, our brother in Florida is a lawyer." I laughed. There's nothing sneaky going on, ladies. It's just Sam and I doing what we love to do best. The second part of the programme involved travelling to Orange County to give readings to a live studio audience. Before meeting my audience, I was given time to take a solitary walk around the grounds and gardens of the studio. Although winter was fast approaching in the UK, here the sun beat down strongly and glinted off the droplets of water thrown up by the central fountain of a pond. It was such a peaceful place, beautifully landscaped, with bougainvillea and drooping willows. Through the branches of the trees, I suddenly noticed what looked like a tall pillar of concrete. Even more strangely, the pillar was covered in what looked suspiciously like graffiti. How awful that somebody has come in and spoiled such a beautiful garden, I thought to myself. As I wandered closer, I could see that what I had thought from a distance was a pillar was in fact a huge slab of concrete, which was reinforced throughout by long rusted iron rods. The once smooth surface was pitted and broken in places, and the whole thing was covered in crude and garishly coloured symbols of peace, names and other words I did not understand. They were all written in a foreign language. I leaned forward and placed the flat of my hand on the surface, only to hastily withdraw it. I could feel the horrors of the war. I could sense the hate and the desperation of people trying to escape. I experienced feelings of determination born of no choices. I was touching a piece of the Berlin Wall, which had been transported over to California and placed in this tranquil garden to remind the people of America of the hardships suffered in other parts of the world. How strange that I should be here, standing next to a piece of history, when not 3 weeks before, New York had been devastated by the events of September the 11th. It was time for me to leave the garden and enter the studio to prepare myself for meeting my audience. I started with a brief reading for a lady in the front row who was flanked by her 2 young daughters. "Your grandmother's love surrounds the 2 girls," I told her. "She's talking about Italy. She says, mention Italy. She's talking about Tony and says she likes him. She gives me the name Barbara." The lady nodded. "I'm Barbara, and Tony is my boyfriend. He's from Italy. We hope to be married one day, so I'm really pleased that Grandma likes him. I have a young woman here with me now," I continued. "She's lost a lot of weight and was glad to let go at the end. She says to tell you it's Laura, and her friendship is still as strong as ever. She's also telling me that one of the girls has to go to the dentist soon. Oh, and in your home, isn't there some recent evidence of water flow problems? You must get a plumber in." Barbara smiled through her tears. Laura was her best friend who had passed some 2 years earlier. "It's just like Laura to worry about the girls," she said. "Becky does have a cavity in her tooth, and I will get a plumber in, as I have been having problems with water pipes in the laundry." Another message was for the lady at the back of the audience. "I have a lady in spirit who was vivacious and very good looking when she was young. She loves you dearly and misses you. She knows that you love her. She gives me the name Ellie and tells me that she is with her sister Lucy, who passed a spirit with a cancerous condition, though she would not have complained at all. She tells me that you are her daughter, Donna. She wants to uplift your emotions and tell you there is a lot of love ahead for you." The audience member I was talking to looked stunned. "Yes, I am Donna," she said. "I didn't believe that this was possible. I came here today totally sceptical and was looking forward to going away to tell my friends that mediums were rubbish." She looked embarrassed as she added, "But now I know, of course, that you're not rubbish at all." I continued. "A man is coming close to me. He was full of face, but had lost quite a lot of his hair prior to his passing. He is smiling away at you and telling me that he is your grandfather. He's talking about electrical appliances and tells me that something needs to be changed." Donna nodded her agreement. "I'm now being told that you've sought the assistance of a lawyer. I'm being taken into the lawyer's office, and I'm told you want things sorting out. It will be, because you deserve it. Everything will be sorted out to your satisfaction. I'm told to talk about Hawaii." At the mention of Hawaii, Donna gasped. "That's where I'm moving to," she said. "All will be well in Hawaii. Your mother Ellie tells me that she will be with you when you move, and that is where you will find happiness and contentment and be settled." Donna smiled. "Thank you so much," she told me. I'm so sorry I came here with the attitude I did. Please accept my apologies." "No apologies necessary," I told her. "We each have our own pathway to travel, and it is only when the time is right that events take place to prove to us that there is a world beyond our physical world." My time in California was over. It had been brief but enjoyable. I'd hoped that I'd left a lasting impression with at least a few people, and that they would remember the name Derek Acorah for some time to come.